Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryann, and on this show, ambitious women learn how to create a life they're obsessed with, without the hustle, without the grind, without torturing ourselves, and without following anybody else's rules. This podcast is all about creating our own rules, owning our identity as creator, and hitting every single goal we set for ourselves. Together, we're redefining success on our terms and building lives that look as good as they feel. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Uncensored Self with Ryann Gillen, where we are going to have a fun conversation around three things I thought were helping me, but they weren't, right? Three things I thought were actually getting me closer to my goals, but actually were not. And the reason why I think this is such an important conversation is because these are things that are talked about often, right? Talked about often especially for those of you that are professional, whether you are in a corporate career or building a business or somewhere in the middle, right? These are things that we have been taught are extremely normal and things that are actually required in order to achieve what we want. And you know that we believe here on this show that the rules are made up. So these are three things, three rules, three whatevers that you thought were, or maybe you think are the right things or things that are helping you get closer to where you want to go, but actually might not be, and what to do instead. So here's the first one is thinking about my problems, right? What this sounds like, what this looks like is this is just logical. I have a problem, I have to solve it. How am I going to solve this problem if I don't think about it? How am I going to solve this problem if I don't focus on it? How am I going to solve this problem? And so I'm going to use this big, beautiful brain in my head to solve my problem. But here's what's happening. You've heard me say this before. When we play the energy game, what we focus on expands, right? Whether or not you're playing the energy game, what you focus on expands. You don't have to be playing the game for the game to work. That's what I love about this work of really understanding universal law and talking about the mind game versus the energy game, right? These are all mind game things that we do. Mind game being like, we think if we do enough mental gymnastics, we can get what we want, right? This is where I think mindset work doesn't serve us well because it still has us all up in our head, and we are not just our mind, right? We are bodies and we are souls in these physical bodies, right? We are energetic beings in physical bodies. We are spiritual beings in physical bodies. So when we just work with the mind, we're leaving out the greater wisdom of universal law that helps us get where we want to go, right? So thinking about our problems is very much a mind game thing. And that we think it is actually what is required in order to solve the problem. The more that I think about it, the more that I brainstorm it, the more that I talk about it, the more that I roll it around in my head, I will be more likely to find a solution. But basically, there's a couple things happening here. First of all, your focus is on the problem. And when you focus on the problem, what you focus on expands. So you're like, I have a problem, I got to solve the problem, I got to fix the problem, I got to give the problem my attention, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure about this problem. And so when we think about the problem, all we're doing is keeping the problem in our awareness, right? We're giving our energy, our most powerful resource, which is our focus, which is our attention, to the problem. And what we focus on expands. So instead of actually solving the problem, we've just made the problem bigger. We just made the problem bigger, right? Another thing that happens here is the idea of it reinforces the identity of struggle. I talk about this so much with my business therapy clients, right? It's one of the things that we talk about is, understanding the energetics of winning and the energy of money and respect and success and all those things is this identity of struggle. We have many of the women that I work with believe very, very much that they can be, do, and have whatever they desire, right? They're like, I'm going to hit my goal, but it comes at a cost, right? It comes at the cost of struggle and sacrifice and hard work and these mental gymnastics, right? But we reinforce that identity of struggle. We reinforce the idea that I'm the one who has to solve all of my problems instead of realizing that you have unlimited, non-physical resources available to you to help you solve your problems. So you're giving it all this attention, you're making it bigger, you're giving it all this airtime, and then you're also reinforcing to your brain that we are somebody who struggles. We can have what we want, but we are somebody who struggles. So both of these things that we thought were serving us, like, guys, I literally used to have it in my LinkedIn profile. Like my headline said, professional problem solver. Like I got so much worthiness and value from being the person who could solve the problems. This is something also that I think trips us up as high achievers is a lot of our value is in solving problems. People come to us to fix things for them. And I don't care what your job title is or your profession is. If you are here and you are listening to this, you are the person that people look to when shit is broken. They're like, you can fix this for me. You can do this for me, right? And so what winds up happening here is we just continue to reinforce the identity and give it the attention and stay on the hamster wheel, which is why all the thinking that you could possibly do is not going to solve the problem. And one of my favorite quotes, I quote this all the time, I probably quoted it here on the show a dozen times already, is you cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness of which it was created, right? This is an Albert Einstein quote. And so when you are in the identity of somebody with a problem and you are thinking about a problem, you are at the same level of consciousness as the problem. There is no solution there. All that is at that level of consciousness, that level of energy, that level of thinking is a problem. You have to rise above it, right? You have to shift your energy. You have to raise your consciousness to come up with a solution. This is why so many of your, like, I talk all the time about how my good ideas come from when I'm walking, right? When I'm walking, I am just in the zone, right? I feel amazing. I am outside. It's beautiful out. I'm with my dogs. I always try to find a way to walk in nature. Even when I walk through neighborhoods, right? Like I still find the beautiful things. Like I love pretty cars and paint colors and the landscaping and stuff, right? Like I'm always finding things that are pretty and fun and beautiful, and I'm outside and there's wind in my hair and I'm exercising my dogs. Like I'm not at the consciousness of any problem, which is why that's where all of my ideas drop in. Some people have shower thoughts, their best ideas come in the shower. All of that comes from when you are doing something else. A lot of my clients will tell me it's the car that I get all my solutions in. It's because when you are not, again, actively engaged in trying to solve the problem is when the solution can come in. So there's all these things wrapped up in thinking about our problems where we think this is a totally normal activity and one who's actually going to yield us a positive result, where it is just tormenting the shit out of us and we don't even realize it, right? By giving it more power, giving it more focus, reinforcing the identity of struggle, and then constantly being stuck at that consciousness where the solution is not available there. And so we can stay stuck here for days, weeks, months, years if we're not careful in solving those problems, because again, we just create loops. So here's the deal. You can't actually think your way out of a problem, right? You can't think your way out of a problem. You have to think about what you want and be available for a solution. I'm going to say that for you again. You have to think about what you want and be available for a solution. So let's say, for instance, your problem is that you are not making as much money as you would like in your business, right? Or maybe you are making it, but you want it to be easier. Let's talk about more money. More money. Most people think that more money will solve their problems. So that's the one I'm going to give you. Money tends to be my drug of choice as well. So let's talk about it, right? So let's say I got to figure out a way to make more money. I got to find a way to make more money. What could I do to make more money? Maybe I could try this. Maybe I could try this. So-and-so does this. Maybe I should do this. I'm going to listen to this book and try to figure it out. And you're constantly looking for a solution to make more money, which consistently puts you in an energy of, I'm not making as much money as I would like. I'm an energetic match to not enough money as long as I'm looking for that, right? I used to call this the Rubik's Cube in my brain, right? You cannot think your way out of a more money problem. What you have to do is you have to say, I desire my income to be X. And what would that feel like? What would an energetic match to that amount of money be? And one of you right now is thinking, I don't know, Ryan, I've never made that amount of money. I don't know what the energetic match is to that. What I would say is what you probably think is what I think most of us want, especially when it comes to money, is we'll probably feel grateful, we'll feel relieved, we'll feel safe, we'll feel secure, right? Those are typically the feelings that money evokes for us. So the feeling, the energy match of abundance, of money, is grateful, right? I can't not be grateful for the clients I don't have and expect to get more clients, right? I can't not be grateful for the money I have in a bank account, or maybe the credit limit that I have on a credit card. If I'm not grateful for those things, how am I going to get more money, right? So basically what we need to do here is, in order to solve the problem, is we need to focus on what we want and become an energetic match to what we want. And when we're no longer at that same level of consciousness of our problem, right? We're no longer an energetic match for the problem. The solution, the idea, the person to reach out to, the magic can phone itself in, but the magic can't phone itself in when you're like, got a problem, need more money, need more money, need more money. I call it the Rubik's Cube, right? More money, more money, more money, more money, boop, 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 right? All you're putting out into the world is not enough money, and there is not a solution there. So thinking about your problems, stop doing that. Start thinking about what you want, and not in the way. This is the thing, because one of you right now is thinking, but Ryan, I think about wanting more money all the fucking time and I don't have more money, because you're thinking that you don't have it. Gosh, I wish I had more money. Gosh, I wish money were easier. Gosh, I wish that deal would close. Gosh, I wish such and such would happen, right? That's when you think about money, that's what you're thinking. God, I wish I had an extra $5,000 to book that vacation. Gosh, I wish that I didn't have that X number of dollars of debt on my credit card. When you think about money, you don't think about, oh my God, when I have an X dollar month, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to buy. And I'm so excited to plan this vacation with my family. You think, such and such was on vacation again. I wish we had money for that many vacations. That's what you're thinking, right? So yeah, so you can't feel your way. You can't think your way out of the problem. You have to focus on the solution and become an energetic match for the solution. Okay. The second thing that I used to do that I thought was helping me was looking for the right way to do things. If I could just do this right. One of the first things that I dive into with my clients when we talk about playing the energy game is that nothing in life has any meaning save the meaning you give it, right? And I've read this in several different places. I've talked about this several different places. I've heard this from Bashar. I've heard this in the Course in Miracles, right? So right and wrong assumes that there's a right and wrong way. right? There is a right way to hit my goals and there is a wrong way to hit my goals. There is the right way to get the job that I want and there's a wrong way to do it. And what that does is it externalizes your power, right? It says that I am powerless. I am not the creator of my reality and I have got to go find the right way to do this. I have to find the right steps and the right things and that there's a way to get it wrong. And the truth of the matter is that there is no way to get it wrong. Right? There is no way to get it wrong when you are playing the energy game. When you're playing the mind game, you can get it wrong because you tell the story of right and wrong, right? But I spent so many time reading and studying and listening, looking for the right way to do things. Guys, even when I started doing energy work, when I started studying this work, I still thought that there was a right way to do it. There's a right way to get into alignment with my higher self. There is a right way to think or a right way to, there's a process, there's steps to follow in order to manifest whatever it is that I desire or call whatever it is I desire into my life. But that idea, again, constantly has us in judgment, right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong. That is a mind game, right? It is one we play all day, every day. We scroll through social media and we're like, that person's wrong, that person's right, that person's wrong. I agree with that person. I don't like that person, right? It externalizes your power. It says that you could get it wrong. If I'm the creator of my reality, there's no wrong way. There's only the right way. There's only the way that I do it. There's only the way that feels good to me. There's only the way that I'm aligned with. Like that's the only way to do it when we play the energy game. Because if all I have to do is be an energetic match to what it is I desire, as long as I am in what I call the zone, as long as I am an energetic match and I'm tapped in, Abraham always says that it's, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, right? Like as long as I am in resonance with God, source, the creator, whatever you believe in, I can't do it wrong. I can only do it in the way that feels fun. And it also keeps you out of aligned action. A lot of times in personal development, in intentional reality creation, people talk a lot about aligned action. So like, I'm going to align action my way to this. It was really aligned for me to make those 400 cold calls. It was really aligned for me to do that thing that I really hated. Fuck that, right? We can fool ourselves into aligned action all day long because typically it is coming from and I'm actually going to talk about this as kind of my third point, but it takes it so like, of course this is aligned. I'm totally aligned. And you're not fucking aligned. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be doing that right now, right? And again, I say this over and over again. There is a difference between torturing yourself, doing something you absolutely positively hate doing because you think it's going to get you a result. That is not aligned action, right? Aligned action is well, like I should, or I desire to create content or build a personal brand or be a better leader, right? But I'm uncomfortable and I'm learning to do something new, but I'm willing to be shitty at this thing until I'm good at it, right? Like that is aligned action. Like I got to get better at, say content creation. In the beginning, you're going to be bad because in the beginning, we're bad at everything, but aligned action is I'm going to continue to show up and learn how to be a good content creator through practice, even though I'm a little uncomfortable, is extremely different than I'm going to do this thing that I hate and torture myself into getting what I want. That is not aligned action, but it does. Sometimes we do that. I know that I did that where I was like, I really don't like doing this, but so-and-so has what I want and that's what they're doing. And so I'm going to try to align myself to it. And that's just not it, right? So when you're thinking that there's a right way and a wrong way, you can force yourself out of that aligned action into action for action's sake because you think it's going to get a result, right? Another thing that happens here is we live in learning, right? Learning. I'm never ending learning. And we are learning, right, guys? But we're not learning right and wrong. We're learning ourselves, right? When you play the energy game, it is a study of myself. It's a study of my thoughts. It's a study of my feelings. It's a study of my belief systems. It's a study of how do I become an energetic being? How do I understand universal law so I can create what I want? That's what we're studying here. We're not studying what's the exact right business strategy, right? And I'm not saying that you never need to learn business strategy. My mentor actually teaches a little bit of business strategy with the energetics, which I kind of dig. But it's, again, where that becomes valuable and important is when you're a complete and total newbie to something, right? Like if you have never run a bakery before and you want to run a bakery, yes, you should probably go get some skills and knowledge about like cost of goods sold and all those different things, right? What is the code, up to code? What do I need to do? What are the rules and regulations about how long I can keep food safe stuff, like all those different things. Like, yeah, that is an opportunity to go learn because you've never done that before. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm not discouraging that kind of learning. I'm talking about searching, hunting, and pecking for the right thing to do. If I just keep listening to these podcasts and reading these books, I will know the right thing to do. And that is simply not true, right? That's typically a sign of avoidance or a disbelief in your own power to create. So you are, again, putting that power outside of yourself and believing that somebody else knows better than you do. That is something that keeps us stuck, right? So there's no right way. There's only your way. And the clarity actually comes from doing, not researching, not overstudying, not listening to that other podcast that you're not actually going to take any action from at all, right? But I spent a lot of time here. I have a very strong sense of right and wrong. That was just, I don't know if it's because my dad was very blue collar and a union guy and, very, very staunch. There's a right way and there's a wrong way and there's this side of the line and that side of the line. And this is how I feel. Maybe that's where it comes from. But I had to really unprogram this stuff that like, there's not an exact right way to grow a business. There's the way that is most aligned to you, but you're not going to know what that is if you continue continue to play the mind game and you continue to try to think your way through something that is a feeling game, right? That is an energy game. And then the third one here that I thought, again, was, things that were helping me was like believing I had to earn it, right? I have to earn it. I can have what I want. Most of you believe that you are capable of achieving the thing that you desire, but you believe it comes at a cost. You believe it comes at a cost. There is a way to earn it. There's a way to deserve it. There's a way to be worthy of it. There's a way to be smart enough for it, right? There's a series of things that you have to do in order to be able to get the things. And where this comes from, and again, what the symptoms of this problem are things like over efforting. I just work more, right? Like that comes, I just try harder. I just need to try harder. Then I will have earned whatever it is I want. Hustling, never feeling like it was enough. So even though you worked way more hours than you wanted to this week, it still wasn't enough hours, but it's this idea of like, you have to own this bit that there's at some point in time, you're going to do enough to deserve it. This comes again from the outside world. This comes from childhood programming. This comes from a lot of the messaging that we hear about business and success, right? Are you willing to pay the price? Nothing in life worth having, comes easy, all that other shit. So we're like, cool, if it's worth having, it's got to be hard. So we have this belief system. And so we go out there and we're like, cool, hard work, I can do that. Every single person I know listening to this podcast right now is really fucking good at hard work, even if you hate it, right? You're really, really fucking good at hard work. But here is when we play the energy game, you don't earn worthiness. Like, again, who decides it's enough? When is it enough work? When do you know enough? When are you smart enough? When have you done enough? Like, there's no measurement of that, right? And what we often think is, I'll know that I have done enough when I got the results. But the problem that causes is there's not enough work that is ever going to make you feel worthy if you don't feel worthy on the inside, right? If you don't feel worthy on the inside, you can work as hard as you fucking want to, or if you don't believe in it, or you don't align, or you hate what you're doing, or whatever that is, if you are out of alignment, all of the hard work in the world isn't going to get you there. That's why this is such a trap, because we're like, no, I'll know that I've earned it, right? When I get the results, when I get the money, when I get the job, when, I lose the weight, when my relationship looks like this, I'll know that I have earned it. But that is such a false premise, because you can't earn it. You can't be worthy of it. You can't deserve it. You can't force that to happen because you inherently are, right? You don't earn worthiness. You remember it. God made you. God sourced the universe, whatever you believe in. Like, you are a spiritual being in a physical body. There is nobody out there saying, you are worthy of money. You, not so much. You are worthy of this position. You get out, right? Like, you haven't suffered quite enough. Like, there's nobody up there in the world saying that. That conversation is happening inside of your head, which is why so many people are working so fucking hard and not getting the result that they desire, because their hard work is backed with not enough. So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy of, I'm not enough. See, I told you I wasn't enough. See, I haven't worked hard enough. And you just keep creating your own thing, right? But again, our world teaches us that hard work, suffer, and sacrifice is the price to pay. So we're all out here trying to pay our price with an energy that says, I'm not worthy enough. I don't like this. I hate this. This is terrible. What if this doesn't happen for me? What if this is, all of that? And it just creates this self-fulfilling prophecy of the fact that you're never going to be worthy enough if you're waiting for the outside world to tell you that you're worthy. If you're waiting for the money to make you feel like you are smart enough or good enough or powerful enough, that's not going to happen, right? It's the exact opposite. You have to feel it first. You have to feel it first. When you play the energy game, you have to become an energetic match to what it is that you desire. You can't be an energetic match to more money, no matter how hard you work, if the conversation happening in your head and your energy says, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this. Have I worked hard enough? I don't know what I'm doing. I need to find the right way to do this. I think about my problem all the time. Do you see this? Like, these are things that they look like progress. They look like progress. They feel like progress, especially when you get a good idea and you're like, oh, I've never thought this idea before. This thought is new, right? But the problem is we take that new thought, we get all excited about it, and then we go right back into the loop of, cool, now I got to figure out how to do this. And I got to find the right way to do it. And then I've got to earn it. And we just get right back on the hamster wheel and we go over and over and over again. And it's just such a mind fuck, and it's such a trap because it feels good. Right? Because it feels good. And all of these things, they look like progress. And sometimes they feel like progress. And sometimes you can effort your way into progress. It's the mind fuck of all of this is you can, in fact, work your way into progress and what you want if your belief system aligns, right? It's just most of us, because enoughness and worthiness and right and wrong isn't measurable, that we never get to the level of certainty and confidence. It says, I can just torture myself into this, right? Like, we're torturing ourselves, but we're thinking, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? I'm working so hard and I'm thinking so much and I'm trying to solve it all the time, but why isn't it working? Why am I getting the result? I must be doing something wrong, right? So you're doing these things, right? You're thinking about your problem. You're doing it right. I'm using air quotes, and you're like, I'm fine to work as hard as I need to earn this thing, but you're over here asking yourself the question, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? How long is this going to take? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need a new idea. Maybe I need to read another book. And then you go right back into the loop because you're not an energetic match to what it is you want. You're an energetic match to, I have a problem to solve. And you go on and on and on and on and on. This is the hamster wheel. This is the mental gymnastics. This is what causes burnout, guys. This is what causes burnout. People think burnout comes from overworking. I think burnout comes from being out of alignment. Burnout comes from trying to effort and earn your way into what is already yours. Because when you play the energy game, all you have to do is become an energetic match. That's the only thing that you have to figure out how to do. And it's not even figuring out. You just already are. It's you have to stop doing the shit that's holding you back, which is thinking about your problem, searching for the right way, and trying to earn it. When you stop doing those things and you would just realize that I'm the creator of my reality and my only responsibility is to become an energetic match to what it is I desire, and I do that through my thoughts and feelings, it becomes really easy. But our big, beautiful brains and our belief systems and our programming tells us that easy, nope, we don't do that. We can have success, but it can't be easy. But it can't be easy. If it's too easy, we feel like we haven't earned it, right? If we get a job interview because somebody made somebody sent an email or made a recommendation, then we're like, oh, I didn't earn it. I didn't earn this job. Right? Or if we get a new client, but it came as a referral, we didn't work for that lead, then we're not worthy of it because I didn't earn it, because I didn't work for it, because it was a referral, which is bullshit, because you built the relation, whatever, right? But the story we tell ourselves, if there was no blood, sweat, tears, and suffering, I did not earn it. Therefore, I'm going to take this deal. I'm going to take this opportunity, but I'm going to feel like shit the whole time. Our brains, this world. When I think about it, I'm like, this is just bananas. How did I live like this for so many years? And there's no judgment in this, guys. I hope you know that, like, zero judgment here at all, because I lived all of this, right? And some days I still do. I don't think that there is perfection. Like I've shared this before. I don't think there is a utopia. I don't think there is a place where all of a sudden you are magically cured from the human condition. I don't think you want to be cured from the human condition. You would just like to have a more pleasant human experience. So you have got to stop thinking about your problems. You need to stop searching for right and wrong. And you need to stop thinking that there's going to be a magical point in time where you are worthy or you have earned it or you deserve it. And just know that you already are. You already are. I said this, I gave a talk last week in Lubbock. And one of the things I said over and over again, and I pray the women in the room heard me say that there is no, like, if it's on your heart, if your desires were given to you by the divine, by God, source, the universe, like, not all of us have the same desires. Not all of us have the same thing, like, don't want the same things. We don't want to have the same jobs. We don't want to run the same businesses. We don't want to live in the same neighborhoods. We don't want to drive the same kind of cars. We don't want to have the same kind of relationships. We don't want to have the same type of hobbies, right? Like, your desires are yours. Very specifically yours. And they are yours because you are meant to have them. Because why would God give you desires without the tools and capabilities to? The only reason you don't is because you keep telling yourself you have a problem, looking for the right way to solve said problem, and then thinking there's going to be a point in time where somebody somewhere is going to anoint you worthy of all the things that you want. And if you would merely play the energy game, realize my only responsibility is to become an energetic match to what it is I desire, and when I do that, the clear path of how will appear. That's the magic, my friends. That is the energy game. But you have to be willing to let go of what isn't serving you. So much of the energy game is not about doing. It is about actually not doing all of these things that are standing between you and what you desire. Because the only thing standing between you and what you desire is the conversation happening in your head and your continued focus on the fact that I don't have what I want. And if those two things went away, your life would be so fucking magical and so much fun. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncensored Self Podcast. If you're walking away with a new perspective, some fresh inspiration, or the push you needed to show up as your uncensored self, I'd love to hear about it. Share this episode, leave a review, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, success isn't about following somebody else's rules. It's about owning who you are, deciding what you want, and going after it unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep creating, and stay uncensored.